Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today you are joining me in my Audi A7, which I've had for about a month. I've done about 1,000 miles in the car, and for those of you that are new to the channel, let me just give you a quick walk around of my Audi A7. This is a 2018 model year Audi A7. It's finished off in the firmament blue, standard S-line from outside, but I've had a few nice bits fitted to the car, mainly from the front end. I've got the Maxton splitter, Maxton side skirts around the side, and a Maxton rear lip. Other than that, the car is pretty much standard, and in this video I'm going to go through the things that I like about this car, which are quite a few, and the things that I don't like. First of all, I'm going to go through the things that I like. I think the Audi A7 is a very cool design. I really like the Sportback, and I think when this car launched, I was at the Geneva Motor Show when I saw this car and I absolutely fell in love with it. I thought the lines were really nice. I'd like the way the back end just looks with like the haunches over like the rear arches. I just think that it's so striking, so muscular looking as well. And I think with this powertrain, I think the car is just set off just right. It's a 3-litre turbo diesel engine. It's got plenty of poke. So from a styling point, I really like it. And I've always had a soft spot for Sportbacks as far back as like the early 90s. I mean, I remember in my primary school, you guys might laugh at this now, but in my primary school there was the head teacher who used to have a Rover 800, and there was another teacher, I don't know who he was, but he had the same car but the Sportback. And every time I'd be in the car park like walking through, I'd always look at the Sportback and I'd be thinking, I wish my dad had one of those cars, because my dad used to always have like a saloon, and the Sportback used to always look really nice. And yeah, so am I comparing this to a Rover 800? I don't know, but I think the Sportback design is just something that I really like. I mean, I could have gone for an Audi A6, but I would just prefer the Sportback. So I think from a design point, I think Audi have absolutely nailed it. That theme continues right into the interior, because I really think that the interior is a very class design. It's built with high quality materials pretty much everywhere that you kind of see and touch. I have no quibbles with, like, say, the MMI system. Personally, I think it's way better than the latest iDrive system that BMW have. When I mean the latest one, the iDrive 7, I know the iDrive 8 is going to be released now soon, coming into like the newer cars, and let's just wait and see what that looks like. But the cockpit view, the touchscreens, I have no issues with whatsoever. It takes about 5 minutes to get used to them, and once you're used to them, you're absolutely fine. The only thing I don't like about the MMI system here as being touchscreen is you do get a lot of grubby marks when you switch off the screen, but I have a solution for that. I end up using, if I go reach into the glove box, one of these microfiber cloths. Now I know it's pink here, but it does the job, and it's really nice. It's straight from Halfords, and it does a great job of getting rid of all of those grubby marks. And that's my only niggly thing with the touchscreen. Now I think that's going to be the same in pretty much any touchscreen system that you have. So yeah, I have no issues with, like, you know, the way the system operates. I think the virtual cockpit is absolutely clear as well. Got the sun glaring right in my eyes. Alright, I think I'm going to move the car because that sun is just annoying quite a bit. So yeah, I'm just going to move the car a little bit. Just reverse it into another spot somewhere where the sun is not so intrusive. Hope my camera doesn't fall off. I think this about does it here. There we are. We're just going to stop here. Now, as we're on the topic of the interior, I think it's a high class interior. Everything that you see and feel feels like it's of high quality. I really like the stitched dash, and the stitching continues on the door tops here. Now that gives the car a real nice feel, quite a high end luxury feel of the car. And no doubt this car is quite, you know, it is a luxury car. The only thing I don't like is, although this is really nice, the top end of the door cards, the edge over here is really like hard and solid. So every time I put my elbow onto it like this, you just move my camera so you can actually see. If I put my elbow onto it, that bit there really hurts, and I always end up catching my elbow onto it. So that's the thing that I really don't like, because the top end of the door cards is nice and soft, but this edge is quite pointy, and it just ends up hitting my elbow at times, and I really don't like that. I don't know why they couldn't just make this a little bit softer as well. Another thing that I don't like, while we're on the topic of the door, is although that the door has got a number of materials, like from brushed aluminium to Alcantara and some soft plastics and stuff, I think that the door rest is a little bit low. And what I mean by that is I just can't seem to get comfortable enough with my driving position, because this door rest is quite low. The steering wheel is exactly where I want to have it, and I can't use the door rest and hold the steering from where otherwise I'd be holding it. Like say for example in my M4, the door rest is just right, and I can hold like say the steering wheel from like say a 9 and a 3 position, whereas here if I'm using the door rest I'm more at like say a 4 o'clock position, and I just kind of think that's just a little bit low, especially on that long drive. And I just wish there was a little bit more, I don't know, ergonomic design that went into the car. That's my kind of criticism from, you know, the driving position of this car. The rest of it, the pedals, the seat, the steering wheel, I think they're spot on. I can't complain with the way, you know, those are, you know, right. They're not even offset, they're right exactly where you'd expect them to be. And every material that you touch on the steering wheel has a real nice feel. Even like these paddle shifters, you know, they're aluminium on the back as well. Not that I've really got to use them in this car, but they're really nice. I mean, if I compare this to like say the G23 series I had, the paddles from the back were plasticky, so they just felt a little bit horrible, whereas these, they feel quite nice and expensive as they should. In addition to the design of this car, I think what Audi have done really well in is the lighting system. This car's fitted with the HD matrix headlights and rear lights as well. So when I'm coming up to the car at the end of the day and I'm unlocking it, it's got a real nice cool feature where they do all the kind of animation, and it really brings a nice smile to my face when I see that. I'm going to cover that in a completely separate vid, so definitely stay tuned because that will be coming out soon as well. Audi's lighting system, in my opinion, is next level. As you'd expect from a car of this type, you know, there's a lot of luxury features, especially in the driving position. So for example, you got 14-way adjustable memory seats, electrically operated, which is absolutely brilliant. And that's what you'd expect, you know, for a car of this type, you know, being like that long distance cruiser. You want to get really comfortable. There are memory seats, and you know, there's 2 drivers for this car, and I'm driver 1 and there's someone else that's a driver 2. And the thing is, every time driver 2 gets in and they set the seat up and I go in, and all I want to do is just press the button. And that's the same with my M4. 2 drivers, different settings for the seats, and all I got to do there is just press the button while I set everything else up, and the seat kind of sets itself up. Whereas with this one, you got to hold the button, which I find a bit annoying, because driver 1 has their seat all the way back and, you know, whatever, and I kind of get in and I just want to press the button for it to set the seat up. But I don't like it because you got to keep the button pressed, and there's quite a difference of variation of the way the seat is set up. So I end up holding the button down for probably about 30 seconds before I can even, you know, kind of set everything else up. That's a bit annoying. But what I do like about this is the fact that it's got a comfort exit. So for example, when you switch the car off, the seat rolls back and it gives you a little bit more space to kind of jump out the car, which I think is quite a nice feature. Overall, the materials that you see and touch generally are pretty good quality, but there's a few questionable materials used in this car which I think is kind of unheard of for Audi. So for example, you know, you got a little bit of scratchy materials down here, which I think is, it's okay because it's kind of out of like your line of sight, but it's kind of there. Everything seems to be quite nicely damped. Like say for example, the armrest is nicely damped, you know, the glove box is quite nicely damped as well. But there's one cubby thing that isn't, which is just down here. I mean, this just feels cheap and nasty. You know, for example, look at that. That is just ridiculous. But what I have to say is when you close it, it's got a real satisfying click, which I think is pretty good for what it is. So I can kind of forgive Audi for that. But yeah, when you just drop that down, I'm sure they could have used a little bit more damping in that for it to have been a bit better. But it's a minor thing anyway. One thing that I do like about this car, everything is kind of touch sensitive, and I really like how you've got this little panel of lights down here for like say your headlights, your rear fog lights, the front fog lights, and as soon as you just get close to them to put your finger over them, they kind of light up, which I think is absolutely brilliant. You know, there's a bit of thought that's gone into there, and that just makes me smile. Yeah, it's just tech thing, isn't it? I'm a huge tech fan, and yeah, I quite like that. As we're talking about the design of the car, the 4-door coupe, I think it's a damn sexy design that Audi have come up with for this generation A7, and I really love, with any Grand Coupe of this size, you know, you have pillarless doors front and rear. My only criticism here is that when you have all 4 windows down, the front ones look pretty damn good because you got a huge pillarless door. The rear windows don't go all the way down, which I think is a bit disappointing, because look, you got a pillarless door, the windows don't go all the way down, and then yeah, it just doesn't look that great, does it? But if this was a Mercedes CLS, the rear windows would go all the way down. Now the only thing I have an issue with on the Mercedes CLS on the rear windows is that although the windows go all the way down, you have the quarter window that's built into the door. That doesn't go down, so therefore it looks even worse compared to, like, say something like this. Now that's my only criticism on this car. The rear windows don't go all the way down when they are meant to. I don't know why Audi have done that, and the actual opening of the window is not very, you know, it's not very big, so I really don't see the point why they couldn't just lower those windows, you know, just a few more inches down. It would have made all the difference. I think above all, what I really like about this car, in addition to the design, is the way this car drives. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a sporty drive like the way the BMWs are, and it's not as comfortable as, like, say, a Mercedes CLS would be. My only thing I'd say here is that it gets that balance right. So for example, a Mercedes CLS is all about comfort. I've driven one recently, I might even be coming up on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And you know what, I really like that car in the way it was, like, say, comfort orientated, and you know, it does a lot of things right, especially for, like, say, rear passengers, and you know, as a passenger in that car as well, it's really comfortable. Space wise, I don't think it's much bigger than this, I'll be honest, but let's just leave that to a side. The BMW side of things, they don't really do a car of this sort of generation anymore, or of this type. They've got the 6 GT, which is, I don't know, it's a mishmash of products really, that thing, so I can't really compare it to that. But let's just go with, like, say, a 5 Series in comparison. A 5 Series is like more engaging to drive, it's a bit more sporty, and it's a little bit more harsher to drive as well compared to something like this. Now what this car gets right is the way it blends comfort and sportiness, and I really like that. I've driven this car over long distances, it's responsive, it's comfortable, you know, and in comparison, the Mercedes is very comfortable. The BMW is a bit too sporty, unnecessarily sporty, just because it's a BMW. This car blends the Mercedes and the BMW attributes really well. Like, the steering is really light, it's just effortless to drive, and I think that's what Audi have got right. It's got the sporty element, it's got the comfort, and when those two things come together, you get a product like this. And I'm really happy that this car has been built on those kind of grounds, and you know, I think they've done a marvelous job on this thing. Other than that, guys, I don't think there's anything that I can add to the things that I don't like, because I really don't think there's many. And I must say, I'm actually nitpicking here on the things that I've kind of just said. I think it's a superb machine, this thing, and there's loads of things that I think Audi have got right on this car. Leave a comment in the comment section below if there's things that you definitely like about your Audi A7, or there's things that, you know, you might not like about your Audi A7. I always like to hear, you know, feedback from you guys. If you've enjoyed this vid, give it a like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye.